We've all been there, right? A slip of the knife in the kitchen, a scraped knee on the pavement, that sudden, sharp sting, the sight of blood, and then this incredible, almost magical healing process kicks in. How in the world does our body pull that off every single time? Well, let's get into it. Have you ever gotten a paper cut and just thought, wow, why does that hurt so much? It's tiny. And even crazier, how does your body just fix it? Like, what's the secret sauce that lets our skin patch itself up, sometimes perfectly? Okay, so here's the best way to think about it. Your body is basically a super efficient 24/7 construction site. And when you get a wound, that's an unexpected demolition. Instantly, alarms start blaring, emergency crews are sent out, and this whole complex rebuilding plan just kicks into high gear. All right, so before any construction can happen, you got to secure the site, right? And that's where the body's incredible alarm system comes in. We call it pain. And it's not just a bad feeling, it's an absolutely critical first alert. So how does this alarm actually work? Well, all over your skin, you've got these tiny little sensors. They're specialized nerve endings called nociceptors. Seriously, think of them like the motion detectors and laser tripwires all over the construction site. The second any tissue gets damaged, whether it's from pressure, heat, whatever, bam, they fire an emergency signal straight to your brain. But here's the cool part. Not all alarms are created equal. The very first signal zips along these super fast A-delta fibers. That's the instant, sharp, youch. It's like a blaring siren that screams, get your hand off the hot stove now. Then, just a moment later, a second, slower signal shows up via C fibers. And that's the dull, throbbing ache that sticks around. It's kind of like the flashing warning light on the dashboard, just reminding you, hey, take it easy on this spot, we're working on it. And get this, at the exact same time, the injured cells themselves start releasing their own chemical alarms, like prostaglandins and histamine. They're the ones that ramp up blood flow, which is why the area gets red and hot. They also make the blood vessels a little leaky, which causes the swelling. This whole thing, this inflammation, is designed to wall off the area and protect it. It's just like a car alarm going off, warning everyone to stay away. Okay, so the alarms are blaring, the site's been secured, now it's time for the first responders to show up. Their mission? It's simple and it's urgent. Stop the bleeding. Seal the breach. This is step 1 in our big 4-part healing plan. So yeah, this entire repair job follows a pretty neat 4-step blueprint. And it all starts with something called hemostasis, which, literally just means stopping blood flow. This is the absolute first thing that happens, kicking in within just a few seconds. The moment a blood vessel breaks, these tiny little cell fragments in your blood, called platelets, they just rush to the scene. They get all sticky and start clumping together, making a quick, temporary plug. But then, a protein called fibrin comes in and weaves this super strong mesh all over them, creating a really tough clot. It's exactly like an emergency crew frantically throwing down sandbags and sealant to plug a hole in a dam. All right, crisis contained. The leak is plugged. Now it's time to clean up the whole mess and make sure no bad guys, like bacteria, can sneak in and wreck the whole project. And that brings us to the second and super important stage of healing. Next up is inflammation. Now, I know we usually think of inflammation as just pain and swelling, something bad, but it's actually this incredibly organized cleanup operation. It's all about getting the ground ready for the real construction to start. So who's on this cleanup crew? First up, you've got neutrophils. They're a type of white blood cell, and you can think of them as the site's hazmat team, or maybe even its soldiers. They just swarm the area, destroying any invading bacteria and clearing out all the debris. Right behind them come the macrophages. These guys are like the site foremen. They finish the cleanup, but their big job is to release these signals, growth factors, that basically shout, all right, bring in the construction workers. And with the site all cleared and secured, the real construction can finally kick off. This is the proliferation phase. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Your body starts actively building brand new tissue to fill in that gap. This is the part where you can actually see the healing happening. You know that new kind of pinkish, bumpy tissue that forms in a wound? That's called granulation tissue, and it is just a beehive of activity down at the cellular level. The absolute stars of this show are cells called fibroblasts. These are your master builders. They move right into the wound and start spinning out this incredible scaffold made of a super tough protein called collagen. This collagen framework is literally the rebar and concrete foundation for the brand new skin that's about to be built. So the foundation's been poured, the gap is filled. But we're not done yet, not by a long shot. The final phase is all about taking that quick patch job and turning it into a strong, permanent structure. And you know what? This is the longest, most patient part of the whole deal. This final phase is called remodeling, and it can take a surprisingly long time. We're talking weeks, months, sometimes even up to 2 years. This is where that temporary fix is slowly, carefully transformed into a lasting part of your skin. So what's happening here is that all those collagen fibers that were kind of thrown down in a hurry, they're now being broken down and relaid in a much more organized, cross-linked pattern. This is what makes the new tissue stronger, and it's what forms what we call a scar. But here's a fascinating little fact. Even after all that work, scar tissue is never quite as strong as the original skin. It usually only gets back to about 80% of its original toughness. Okay, so if this whole process is so perfectly organized, why is it that sometimes a wound seems to take forever to heal? Well, just like any real-world construction project, things can go wrong. You can have supply shortages, bad management, or just outside interference that causes delays. Yeah, our body's incredible work can definitely be disrupted. Things like smoking, for instance, can cut down on blood flow, which is like cutting off the supply trucks to the site. Too much stress can weaken the immune system, basically slowing down your cleanup crew. And other things like diabetes, not eating right, or just getting older, all of these can put the brakes on the entire process. So next time you get a cut, maybe try to think of it a little differently. That pain you feel, that's just the alarm system doing its job. The healing process, that's your own internal construction crew working around the clock. And your skin, with its incredible power to regenerate, is the masterpiece they're all working so hard to restore. It's just amazing. From the very first seconds of an injury to potentially years down the line, this whole healing journey is like a perfectly conducted symphony, happening just beneath the surface. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? I mean, our bodies are constantly performing these little miracles of engineering, turning damage into repair and chaos into perfect order. It's just a powerful reminder of the incredible resilience that's built right into our DNA.